Royal Mail issues Christmas stamps every year, a tradition that can be traced back to the year 1966. It's the Christmas season, so in this episode, let's go back to the very beginning of the UK's Christmas stamps and discover some stories behind them. Although the use of the internet has led to a decline in the number of people sending postcards and letters, the Christmas season remains the busiest time for the Royal Mail. People still send greeting cards, and post offices also sell Christmas-themed stamps during that period. The history of Christmas cards can be traced back to the 17th century, more than 200 years before the introduction of the penny black. But Christmas stamps in the UK did not appear until the 1960s. There were requests for Christmas stamps before the 1960s, but always met a negative response. During that period, the postal department was very cautious and conservative about the themes of stamps. There was even a policy not to issue stamps for annual occasions. And if we look back at the stamps issued during the 1950s, the Queen's portrait was always the dominant feature, which made it hard to design stamps around the topic of Christmas. Requests for Christmas stamps continued until the year 1965, by which time Tony Benn had become Postmaster General with a new attitude towards commemorative stamps. In early 1965, he suggested issuing a stamp with a charity surcharge for Christmas, but his suggestion wasn't accepted in that year. Tony Benn's idea on stamps were quite radical. He even hoped to remove the Queen's head from stamps, but sometimes we need a radical leader to make some changes. The Queen's portrait wasn't omitted from stamps, but the gentleman cameo was introduced in 1966, leaving more room for stamp design. And the design and issuance of Christmas stamps were finally on the agenda. Again, he planned to add an oil print on Christmas stamps for charities. Today we know that the 1966 Christmas stamps were designed based on the paintings of two children, but the idea of using children's paintings was initially set for the 900th anniversary of the Battle of Hastings stamps. They had planned to organize a school children's competition to select an appropriate design. However, the then General Post Office decided to commission artists in the Uruguay to design the Battle of Hastings stamps, intending to proceed with the children's competition to obtain designs for a special Christmas issue. But the idea of charity overprint was deferred due to some legal problems. For the Battle of Hastings stamps, they were designed by the famous artist David Gentleman, who also proposed the Gentleman cameo. Following a series of discussions, the competition rules were confirmed and released to the public on 25th May 1966. The General Post Office invited all school children under 15 to submit design for Christmas stamps. The designs had to illustrate a festival or religious theme. The designs were not to include any letterings. The designs could use up to 5 colors. Dark colors were to be avoided. Space was to be left for the Queen's head and the denomination, which would be added later by the GPO. There were some rules for the size of the painting, and all designs were to be accompanied by the children's name, age, address, and the name of school, and to include a certificate from the head teacher to guarantee that the designs were the unadded work of the children. A price of £20, which equivalent to today's £310, were offered for successful designs. The deadline was 20th of June, so less than a month to submit the designs. Around 5,000 designs were submitted. A panel of 8 professional stamps designers reviewed these designs, and 4 designs were chosen. In July 1966, the new Postmaster General Edward Short wrote to the Queen with the 4 designs. He also explained that the Queen loved the gold portrait on the Battle of Hastings stamps, and this time the GPO planned to go one stage further, which was to apply embossed gold heads. In August, the Queen sent her approval of design A and B with embossed head. The embossed gold head delayed the printing of the stamps, but they were finally issued on 1st December 1966. Let's delve into these stamps. The threepence stamp was designed by Tasvir Shimza, featuring a king. I'm confused about which king he was. In some resources, it is stated that this is King Wenceslas from Good King Wenceslas. Well, others suggest he is one of the three kings of Orient. However, from a recollection of Tasvir, she said it was actually a portrait of her father. The threepence rate applied to inland postcards. The 1 shilling sixpence stamp, designed by James Barrie, features a snowman. The 1 shilling sixpence rate was for Zongbi international letters, weighing under half an ounce. Zongbi included Americas, most of Africa, and the Indian subcontinent. Both kids were 6 years old in 1966, which means they should be 63 today. Going back to the design finalists, Father Christmas, designed by M. Belshaw, wasn't selected for stamp, but was used on the official first day cover. And this is not an official first day cover. Let me change the angle so that you can see the embossed queen's head better. There are phosphor bands version and non-phosphor version. The phosphor stamps and the ordinary threepence stamps sold out in October 1967, and the ordinary 1 shilling sixpence stamp was withdrawn from the sale on 30th November 1967. Due to the large issuance, today you can still get a set of stamps for less than £1, whether they have phosphor or not. So more than 180 million stamps were sold, which sounds quite successful, but that's not the end of the story. The 1 shilling sixpence stamps received some criticism from the Stamp Advisor Committee. They stated that the brim of the snowman's head was tickling the queen's nose. I don't think that's really a problem, and the queen herself has approved this design. The bigger issue was about copyright. Under normal circumstances, the GPO pays the invited artist, and it was clear that the ownership of the designs and copyright was vested in the Postmaster General. But the public notice about school children's competition failed to include a clause about the copyright of the chosen designs. The GPO assumed that the copyright was covered by the prize money, which was £20. So they not only used the designs on stamps but also on Christmas cards. However, the father of the designer of the threepence stamps, Anwar Shimza, wasn't happy with this. He believed that the GPO had no right to use his daughter's design other than on stamps, and sought payment of about £250. The Postal Services Department initiated urgent consultation with the Solicitors Department. The solicitors was shocked about the lack of copyright clause and suggested that the best way out of difficulty was to pay the sum claimed. Mr. Shimza received the payment of £242 10 shillings, with the £20 price. £262 10 shillings was the euro fee for accepted stamp designs. The parents of James Barrie, the designer of the 1 shilling sixpence stamps, received the same amount, and the parents of Anne Belshaw received £62 10 shillings for her contribution to the first day cover. In my opinion, the General Post Office was attempting to take advantage of children. However, it was a good lesson for them, and £260 certainly wasn't a significant amount for them, like £4,000 today. And in recent years, we can still see stamps designed by the school children. For example, the COVID stamps issued last year. They are one of my favorites. I believe having children design Christmas stamps is a fantastic idea. It promotes philately to the younger generation. On the other hand, the public is likely to be more tolerant of the children's designs, resulting in fewer negative reviews. It's a win-win for the public and Royal Mail. Unfortunately, in recent years, we haven't seen Christmas stamps designed by children. And these are not bad stamps, but yearly themes are quite similar, making it a bit boring. Well, I guess Royal Mail will never listen to me. Tell me about your thoughts on the Christmas stamps of the UK in the comment section. And The majority information of this video comes from an article of the Postal Museum. I will leave the link in the description. Please check it out along with other related links. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe and follow me on social media if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!